A very bizarre anomaly has been recently discovered hidden under the sulfuric acid clouds of planet Venus. Hey, what's up guys? Tyler here with Secure Team. Well, this is a strange one, and as you're seeing in this picture here, it would appear that Venus is hiding something very, very large beneath the clouds. So what you're seeing here was captured by Japan's Venus-orbiting Akatsuki, or Planet C, spacecraft, which photographed the anomaly for the first time in infrared light, which is a form of heat vision that humans are incapable of seeing. And you can see here we have this massive curved band stretching along the entire planet. And so when these images came back, scientists were pretty much stumped when they saw this. And of course, there are already theories about what this could be. The most prevalent of those is what is called a gravity wave. Now, for those of you who don't know, gravity waves are very well known to scientists and meteorologists who see them as ripples through clouds of water vapor and ice. In their simplest form, gravity waves happen as warm, expanding air rises and then suddenly cools, becoming more dense, and falls back down due to gravity. Here's an image of these ripples captured over our planet on Earth, and you can see that they're much smaller, and they do not last. In some cases they last days, other times hours. But scientists have yet to ever see something as massive as what is being depicted here on Venus, which has now caused some to question the entire gravity wave theory, and that maybe this is something else altogether, some sort of massive structure hidden in the clouds, or possibly a grouping of something, all coming together to form this giant band. And it is one of a kind. They've never seen anything like it before. The group of Japan-based researchers detailed the oddities of this giant stationary, and by the way, it's stationary. This thing is not moving. It's just sitting there. And they talk about it in a new study published in the Journal of Nature Geoscience. And what they've said about this is that this thing is far bigger than any so-called gravity waves seen on Earth or the planet Mars, making it, quote, perhaps the greatest ever observed in the solar system. And to put it bluntly here, researchers simply do not understand what they're looking at here. And that's at their own admission. Thomas Weidman, who is a planetary scientist at the Paris Observatory, who wasn't even involved with the new study, is quoted as saying that it's very, very bizarre, and it has no evident explanations. I say again, no evident explanations. He further said that the anomaly is a surprise for all of us. Now, what you've been seeing here is an animation of this massive bow-shaped structure. And one of the strange things they have found here is that this wave is located directly above a mountain, located on the equator of Venus. And once they saw that this thing was basically hovering above this mountain stationary, they are quoted as saying that the fact that it's tied to the surface some 37 miles below, that this was, quote, shocking. Now, if you don't know much about the planet Venus, if you could ever imagine hell being on a planet, Venus would be it. It is the hottest, most chaotic, hell on earth type planet that you could ever imagine. With an atmosphere that is nearly 100 times thicker than that of Earth, surface temperatures of over 800 degrees, atmospheric wind speeds that reach up to 200 to 300 miles an hour, the atmosphere is 97% carbon dioxide, and it's basically what Earth would look like if we were to suffer the same runaway greenhouse effect, which is what has happened on Venus. Here you're seeing an actual photograph from the surface of Venus that was snapped by the Russian probe Venera 13 on March 1st, 1982. The spacecraft landed on the surface and lasted for about 2 hours before it started melting and they lost contact with it. So back to this massive structure, scientists have also said that, quote, what is so amazing about this is that if you look at the atmosphere 31 to 34 miles up, it's pretty chaotic. So how is it that this, quote, gravity wave can survive? It should have been easily neutralized. So, the Akatsuki spacecraft is the only spacecraft currently studying Venus, unfortunately. And we have not had a probe that has actually landed and flown down into its hot, toxic atmosphere since the 1980s. However, there have been talks recently that we may just have some new probes and possibly even manned missions within the next 20 years. Which, side note here, it would scare me to death to visit this planet. I mean, it truly is hell on Earth. And now we have this massive band that is not only stationary, but is sitting directly above a mountain. Some are saying that there's just something not right here. That there may be something on the mountain, some sort of structure, something that is creating this massive band, and that there is a purpose, that it is sitting atop this mountain, or well, 37 miles above it, when everything we know about science and Venus says that this band should not be there. And it's like nothing we have ever seen before. So, this is a very mysterious finding. You never hear about the planet Venus much, and I've spoken about this in past videos. You always hear about Mars, you always hear about Jupiter and Saturn and Pluto, but you really don't hear about Venus. It's almost as if there's been sort of a media blackout surrounding it. Mercury as well. You rarely hear about Mercury. It's almost as if they have been trying to take our attention away from these two planets, and maybe cause us to believe that Mars and these other planets are much more interesting than the other two. But these two planets are very enigmatic in and of themselves. And yeah, it's just always been strange to me that we rarely hear about them. Maybe there's a reason for that. Maybe there's something about these planets they don't want us to know. Now, some other recent news that you may not have heard about Venus, which was kind of brushed off, was the fact that there may be alien life in the clouds of the planet, which is another reason that scientists are urging NASA to send a new line of probes to investigate. This comes after a group of scientists detected what they believe, and I'm quoting their words here, what they strongly suspect to be microbial life residing in the clouds above the planet. So they were looking at the planet and they noticed these strange dark streaks moving through the sulfuric acid-filled atmosphere. And they noticed that these dark streaks would seem to absorb ultraviolet radiation, hinting that we may be seeing millions of live organisms living in what has been called a Goldilocks zone on Venus. And as we were saying earlier, the surface temperatures of the planet can reach over 800 degrees, which is hot enough to melt lead. But there is a point on the planet about 31 miles above the surface, again, which is around the same location that we're seeing this anomalous gravity band, where the atmosphere is just at the right temperature, between 30 and 70 degrees Celsius, or between 80 and 100 degrees Fahrenheit, which would be the perfect spot where this potential bacterium that are resistant to the corrosive effects of the sulfuric acid may very well be thriving. And so now they are attempting to petition the US government as well as the Russians to send a probe out that would fly into the atmosphere, into the clouds of Venus, and check for these signs of life. And, for some reason, NASA is not heeding the requests of these scientists. So this all goes back, coupled with this anomalous stationary band. Why is Venus being ignored? Why is NASA not taking the initiative? In fact, they're going the opposite way and putting all their efforts toward Mars or random asteroids, spending billions of dollars. Venus has always been very mysterious to me, and I think there's so much that we don't know about it. So, creepy stuff here. Let me know what you guys think. We have got a lot of stuff to talk about in future videos that are in the works, so be sure to turn on notifications, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you all back here in just a bit. Stay safe, guys.